Pre-season testing in Bahrain didn't exactly go as Ferrari had meticulously planned, but let's be real, those sneaky bastards from Maranello are probably hiding a whole lot up their sleeves while we count down the days to the first race in Melbourne. The competition is already raising eyebrows, suspecting that the SF25 is sitting on a whole mountain of untapped speed, and that Ferrari deliberately kept things under wraps in the desert. Now, obviously, every team pulls a few tricks during testing. No one wants to lay all their cards on the table too early, but the whispers in the paddock suggest that Ferrari might have taken things a step further. So, the million-dollar question: are we about to witness a Ferrari masterclass down under, or was Bahrain a more accurate representation of what Leclerc and Hamilton really have to work with? No doubt, teams love to play their little games during pre-season testing. It's the ultimate poker face moment. Nobody wants to roll up flaunting a rocket ship that gets the rivals sweating buckets before the season even starts. That's exactly why sandbagging exists, my friend. The last thing anyone wants is to give Red Bull or Mercedes a reason to start working overtime on their upgrades before we've even hit race 1. So yeah, everyone was pushing in Bahrain. But pushing how much? That's the real debate. And now, some teams are low-key freaking out, convinced that Ferrari has been playing an even dirtier game than usual. If that's true, it could mean a major shakeup in the pecking order, despite Ferrari already being tipped as one of the fastest squads coming into testing, thanks to months of hype and, of course, the Hamilton factor. But here's the thing: Bahrain didn't quite serve up the blockbuster performance for Ferrari that it did for McLaren. Instead of running away with the narrative, they got lumped in with Red Bull and Mercedes, who, unlike Ferrari, weren't exactly thrilled with their test results. While the other big guns were looking stressed and already making lists of a million things they need to fix, Ferrari's garage was all grins and thumbs up. Vasseur made it clear, they learned everything they needed, they're packed with confidence, and they're heading to Melbourne expecting to flip the script. That said, not everyone in the Ferrari camp is out here throwing victory parties just yet. Leclerc, being his usual cautious self, was basically like, let's not get carried away before we even hit the first corner. He subtly hinted that calling the SF25 fast would be, well, a bit of a stretch. Instead, he made it clear that there's still work to be done before they can go toe-to-toe with McLaren at the top. Now, does that sound like genuine concern, or is this just Ferrari playing 4D chess with their sandbagging strategy? Because let's be real, you're not going to come out and admit you've been hiding performance. You wait until the first race, when it actually matters, and then you drop the hammer. When asked about the SF25, Leclerc basically shrugged and said he'd rather wait before slapping a label on it. His words: "We'll see in Melbourne." And let's be honest, that's Ferrari speak for, we might just have a monster under this hood, but you'll have to wait to find out. Alright, let's be honest. Pre-season testing wasn't exactly a walk in the park for Ferrari. Balancing the car was a bit of a nightmare, and let's not even talk about the second and third days, pure chaos. Between the excessive tire degradation messing up Hamilton's race simulation and the unpredictable track conditions, things weren't looking too hot for the boys in red. But hey, if Ferrari was genuinely worried, they'd be pulling their hair out by now. Instead, the word from Maranello is pretty chill. No red flags, no panic. Everything they've been working on for months is lining up with the data they're getting on track. And let's face it, these tests aren't about setting the world on fire with raw speed. That's exactly why confidence is through the damn roof over at Ferrari HQ. Fred Vasseur, the man running the show, is convinced that once those lights go out in Australia, Ferrari is going to have one of the best cars on the grid, if not the best. And he's not just blowing smoke. When asked about it, he casually dropped, "With the suspension changes, we've opened up a whole new door for development. After a few years of sticking to the same formula, it was time to shake things up. So far, everything's working as expected. I'm not just talking results, I mean the numbers. Everything is trending in the right direction." But here's the real question. Are they in the fight for victory in Melbourne? Well, maybe not. Even Vasseur isn't ready to go all in on that bet just yet. Bahrain threw some extreme conditions at the teams, making it almost impossible to get a crystal clear read on where everyone stands. Plus, fuel loads are a mystery, teams run different programs, and track conditions shift from one session to the next. It's like trying to solve a puzzle while blindfolded. What's obvious, though, is that Bahrain wasn't exactly Ferrari's dream circuit. The SF25's new design wasn't in its element on a rear-limited track like this one, where they couldn't flex their full potential. That being said, Melbourne? Oh baby, that's a whole different ball game. The kind of track where this car should really come alive. The introduction of the pull rod suspension isn't some magic trick that suddenly makes the front end insanely aggressive, but it does mean the SF25 is much better suited for circuits that demand a sharp, responsive front. And guess what? Albert Park fits that bill perfectly. The million-dollar question now is, will Ferrari actually live up to the expectations we've all built up in our heads? Because let's be real, our imaginations are running wild right now, picturing Ferrari dominating the 2025 season. And if you think the testing grind stops here for them, think again. The team is back in Maranello, locked in for a 3-day simulator marathon, running through every inch of Melbourne's layout to make sure they show up with all the answers. Both Leclerc and Hamilton have a packed schedule ahead. Aside from their sim work, they'll be handling off-track commitments like the infamous Pummer event, which, let's be honest, is probably just a glorified PR stunt. But the real focus? Dialing in that perfect rear-end balance without sacrificing front-end stability on a track like Melbourne. Ferrari's engineers are laser-focused on tire management, making sure that pesky front graining doesn't become an issue, and refining their aero package without causing any unexpected headaches. Now, here's where things get spicy. The new generation rear wing with a more pronounced spoon design is set to make its grand debut in medium load conditions. This isn't just a minor tweak, it's part of Ferrari's broader plan to widen the SF25's operational window, a key objective coming into the season. Of course, if you ask Red Bull, they'll tell you that a broader operational range means more inconsistency in hitting peak performance. But Ferrari's counter-argument? A car that's less affected by unpredictable factors like track temperature or weather swings. And let's not forget the Lewis Hamilton factor. The 7-time world champ isn't the kind of guy to shy away from a fight, and he's already made it painfully clear. He didn't join Ferrari to play second fiddle. He's here for one thing: the championship. Nothing less. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Lewis Hamilton and his whole adapting to Ferrari saga. People had their doubts, and honestly, who could blame them? The guy was thrown into a completely different environment, and adjusting to a new team isn't exactly like switching to a new phone. It's a whole damn process. But guess what? In the last few weeks, something clicked, and now, he's out here saying that the SF25 is one of the best cars he's ever driven. And let's not forget, this man just came off one of the roughest seasons Mercedes has had in years. So, hearing him genuinely hyped about this Ferrari, despite initially being a couple of seconds off in the Ferrari TPC tests, is like music to the team's ears. Now, of course, the skeptics were quick to jump in. Oh, Hamilton is just trying to boost morale. He's sugarcoating the situation. Blah blah blah. But the man himself? He was crystal clear. This is one of the best surprises Ferrari could have handed him heading into 2025. A season where he's dead set on proving that hitting 40 doesn't mean you stop chasing championships. It's all about legacy now, and Lewis isn't here to play nice. He's here to win. Still, he's keeping it real. He admitted that it's still too early to start making bold predictions, but damn, he's enjoying himself out there. We're starting to gel, he said. We're testing a whole lot of different things, so I'm not really pushing setup changes or steering the car exactly where I want it yet. We're just following the process. He also mentioned he's getting into the groove with his race engineer and figuring out exactly how the car wants to be driven. It's a fun journey, he added, which is basically driver speak for this car might actually be a beast. And the best part? He feels the car underneath him. That's a huge deal. In F1, the difference between a good car and a great car is whether it responds exactly how the driver expects it to. Today, he said, was a good day. Every small tweak they made in setup felt like a step forward. But, because there's always a but, there's still work to do. So what's the vibe heading into Melbourne? Let's call it cautious optimism. Ferrari is playing their cards close to their chest, but anyone with half a brain can see that they're about to unleash a lot more performance when it actually matters. The real question is, will it be enough to make up for all the sandbagging they pulled compared to McLaren? That's what the Papaya boys are sweating over right now. They know damn well how tough it is to judge Ferrari's real pace when pre-season testing has been such a chaotic mess. With all that in mind, what do you think? Did Ferrari go full undercover mode in Bahrain? And more importantly, do you believe this is the team that's going to be setting the pace once the championship kicks off? Let us know in the comments below. Oh, and if you want the inside scoop on the FIA's crackdown on Ferrari and McLaren's rear wing controversy, click the video on your screen right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.